So we have a true crime story here that is a very, very important lesson, has several important lessons for women. Run background checks, do your due diligence, and understand that love bombing does happen, and taking things slower will help you in the long run where these dudes are desperate to get into someone's house to have shelter, food, and all that kind of good stuff. Let's talk about it. This from the Daily Mail. I thought my doctor husband was Prince Charming. He was a con man. When Dorian Wilkerson got back in touch with Shariza Jackson 20 years after they first met, she thought she had finally found her Prince Charming until the whirlwind romance turned into a real life nightmare. Jackson, 44, had initially known Wilkerson in high school and decades later remembered him as good looking and a great athlete who played football and ran track. In 2014, his clean cut image and her fond memories came flooding back when he contacted her on Facebook. She was at a high point in her life and quickly started to believe Wilkerson was the only missing puzzle piece. She told Daily Mail how excited she was when he told her about his work as a doctor at Emory Hospital, overjoyed to have found someone who she believed shared her work ethic. But she claims their true love turned sour when Jackson uncovered a slew of dirty secrets that her husband of 6 years had been hiding from her, leaving her devastated, and by her own estimation, at least $1.4 million poor. Lesson one here, how she could have alleviated some of that is done a background check or at least checked Emory Hospital to see if this man actually worked there as a doctor. Keep that in mind, ladies. She claims her supposed knight in shining armor was nothing more than a serial fraudster who had been charged with assault and battery, family violence, stalking, theft, and extortion. And she alleges that she was far from the first victim of his deceit. Other women emerged saying that he had swindled them too. So lesson number two, had she run a background check, she probably would have found these charges of assault and battery, family violence, and stalking on his record. In March this year, she filed for divorce and in October filed a civil suit claiming he conned her out of at least $1 million on top of a $400,000 business investment. My word. She claims he used her cash to open a cosmetic clinic so he could take the profits, but alleges he also forged her signature on documents to secure loans in her name. And in a final blow, she claims that she found out he was also unfaithful. In the lead up to the pair reconnecting, the single mother was raising two teenage daughters alone while working at a Fortune 500 healthcare company as a regional director. She owned her own home and had two luxury cars and was also a published author. Jackson claims the first time they spoke, he told her that he was a medical doctor at Emory Hospital in Atlanta and an epidemiologist for the Centers for Disease Control. She liked that he was accomplished, hardworking, and like herself, was passionate about philanthropy. Now, one thing that these con artists will do, they will lie big. But these big lies, something like this, would be check-outable. Saying you work for the CDC or Emory Hospital, you should be able to find that name there if you're doing your due diligence. At the time he was living in Atlanta, she was in Florida. During a business trip she had to take across state, the pair finally met up. She claims he picked her up in a Bentley at her hotel and he was wearing medical scrubs. Before the dinner date, he allegedly took her back to his apartment, a beautiful loft with stunning views of the park, so he could get changed. It didn't take long for Jackson to become smitten. This is part of the facade. You can't look like you're down and out. So renting an expensive car, buying some scrubs, and being in somebody else's apartment is part of the con. She says he was intrigued by her and they appeared to share many of the same values. Wilkerson reminded her of her military father with whom she has a close relationship. Understand, these men will watch your social medias. They study you. So when they seem like they share like they share your values, it's because they have studied you and they're cosplaying as a person who you would really enjoy. Okay, so he was tall, dark, and handsome and very accomplished. He was not just an MD, but a PhD, and had attended these prestigious universities and would lecture around the country on vaccines and infectious diseases. Once again, a big lie, several big lies that should be looked into. Ladies, look into these things. After kissing many toads, she thought she had found her Prince Charming. She claimed he was loving and attentive, putting her on a pedestal and showering her with gifts and lavish trips. That is love bombing. Love bombing. Please understand what love bombing is. On November 27, 2016, the pair wed at an exclusive venue in Fort Lauderdale in front of 200 friends and family members. Her two adult daughters were so taken by the man their mother loved, they legally changed their last name to match their new stepdad. So here is the couple. I just wanted to highlight this woman's shoes because these are some bad shoes. These are some nice shoes. A year into their wedding bliss, she says she supported him in opening a cosmetic center that would offer breast augmentation, tummy tucks, and Brazilian butt lifts. She claims his role at the center would be bringing the doctors in to do the procedures and manage the day to day operations. Jackson, who is busy working her day job, claims she financially invested in Best You Now, which would be located in Broward County, Florida. At his insistence, she allegedly gave him the funds to get started by emptying her savings account and 401k. She estimates this figure overall grew to as much as $400,000. She claims she wasn't actively involved in their business at first, but eventually she noticed that the center was losing money despite having a full roster of client bookings. Please do not impact your financial health for someone else's business venture. Don't impact your financial health and your retirement for somebody else's business venture. To help their investment and keep their business afloat, she says she left her corporate job to devote herself entirely to their cosmetic center. When she started questioning Wilkerson about missing money, she claims he had an answer for everything. She began believing he was a master manipulator. As their romance began to unravel, she says she started to hear stories about Wilkerson stealing money from other people. Several women who were allegedly deceived by Wilkerson reached out to tell her that he's a dangerous person and is not who he says he is. They warned her to be careful. One woman who told Jackson that she is friends with Wilkerson's first ex-wife sent her a text that Jackson shared with Daily Mail. She described Wilkerson as a master con artist. I've known him for 16 years, and he has always been a liar and a con. Increasingly anxious at realizing the man she fell in love with seemed to be a con artist, Jackson's worst fears were realized, she says, when she allegedly saw a text that he sent to a male friend saying he didn't need her anymore because she's broke. Now look at his social media picture. Anybody can buy a costume and cosplay as some profession. Some of his old booking photos. Jackson began digging into her husband. She was appalled to discover he was a convicted felon who had been arrested for fraud in 2002, battery and assault in 2007, battery and assault and family violence in 2009, and was still on probation. Had she done her due diligence, and this is the reason why I'm stressing to do background checks on these people, this is something that she would have found. So she obtained his history of criminal activities dating back to 2001. That was obtained through the clerk of courts in Atlantic City probation and the clerk of courts in Georgia, where he was facing domestic battery charges. This dude was just wow. In August 2001, felony charges were filed against him for theft and extortion for more than $75,000 in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He pled guilty and was convicted September 6, 2002, and was placed on probation, documents reveal. In February 2007, he was booked on simple battery and released from prison on $5,000 bail, according to documents by the Fulton County Sheriff's Department in Georgia. In February 2009, he was arrested for simple battery and family violence and released from prison on a $10,000 bail. So when she did some further digging, he does not have a medical license. He also didn't work for the CDC. She believes that he is now living with another woman because that's what he does. He is a master manipulator. But this is just another warning sign to please just do your due diligence. She's filed for a divorce. Good for her, but I doubt that she recovers all of that money. Y'all jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to share this. Please share. Let's warn the next woman.